So I have a um, book circle going on. Well, it's intimate, you know, book review that we're sharing in the Sacred Waters Healing Temple. And we're in Queen Afua's book. And we're in the, I'm in a section where we're talking about experiences with other women. The book is talking about experiences with other women. And as I'm reading through it, um, firstly, Queen Afua speaks heavily on womb work and the sharing of stories within the experience of womb, writing of these stories and or listening to other and sharing, having an exchange of stories with other women. And as I'm listening to it, I'm realizing that I don't share the majority of these experiences, but I do have my own. It's not to say that I am perfect in any way, although I do know, I know mine experiences. I can only speak for mine. And then as I'm reading further into it, of course, I'm thinking about shared stories that have been shared with me by other women and the experiences they have, and also the behavior of other women. And it just got me thinking about experiences that I've had with women. And I mean, experiences that I've had from the beginning of time, like since a kid. Of course, starting with my mother, grandmother, and my auntie, to my cousins and whatnot. And I'm just, reflecting on those stories. And also even women that I had met growing up. And I just said, you know, I actually want to share some of these stories, not all of them, but just some of the ones that I had that really, really affected me in a way. And I've spoken about some of these stories like in the past. It was about like 2021, right? Where I had came to this sudden realization of women and how women um, have always tried to engage with me. And so I want to talk about just one particular way that I have noticed that have happened again and again throughout my life, right? Is women's need for being domineering, right? In 2020, no, it wasn't 2020, it was 2023. 2023, I was out in Las Vegas with my then boyfriend, and we were out at a casino, and I needed to go back to the car. I needed to go back to the car so that I can go get some items that I left behind. And as I am leaving out of the garage, the parking garage, I remember how this woman that was working inside of the parking garage, the where I forget what they call it, where you check in those who open the gate. Right, she was working in that park, and I went to my car, grabbed what I needed, and was exiting out of that garage, like getting to the garage entry. And instead of me going, you know, I guess it's like through this way that she wanted me to go, from the sidewalk and then all the way, out, from that way. I just went through, just straight through, because as I use a wheelchair, and the sidewalk, it would have required for me to um, get up onto the sidewalk, like go on top of the shit, where can I come up with more? Basically, get on the sidewalk. I would have needed to be able to get on there. And instead, I'm like, well, there's no ramp for me to get on there. So I'm just going to go and continue going on the sidewalk. So as I'm continuing going on the sidewalk, she yells and yells and had all this animosity, like, aggression in her voice, because I had decided that ain't the way to go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't, you ain't have to get like all of this. And I'm just ignoring her. And it's like, I've always been a type of person that I don't respond immediately. And till I got older. And just on this, in this instance, I had decided I'm not even going to respond, because I could respond and in the way that had thought to respond was definitely going to be poorly, right? It was definitely going to be poor. I was going to have a select few words for this woman, to say the least. Okay. And like I said, instead, I had just, held on my tongue, just looked back at her like, and continued on by my way, because in that moment I had realized, like, I am so tired of these women trying to be domineering over me, over my life, and and what I do with myself, what choices I make, even down to that simple choice. You feel me? And I noticed, like, that's not the first time that has happened over my life, even up until this very moment. You know, like when I was collaborating, and I'm gonna speak very candidly about this type of situation. When I was just recently collaborating with the previous guest that on Sacred Waters Healing Temple a few months ago, I remember how, I am doing all of the designs. I'm doing all of the tech work. I am doing most of the uploading and stuff, because this is my program. This is my platform, and I am simply just engaging and doing my work that I'm supposed to do. Well, upon collaborating with another Elay and following the Elay's admin support system, right? I'm realizing some different energies like going on there. And so I, as the person who was handling the administrative work on my program, and the guests, the person who I am hosting, that is joining on to this here, and that is welcome to my Sacred Waters Healing Temple. Welcome to the platform. Welcome to the channel. Welcome. So as I am joining, basically doing the things that I need to do to upload what I need to upload, and receiving, works, because we basically had homework that was instructed upon that Elay to send in, so that the individual who I am hosting is able to, receive it and, share the stories. We're interacting. We had a thing going on. I realized that there were some like strange energies. Like he reached out to me. Well, the one that I was hosting had reached out to me, and he was saying to me, I got this strange email, and I really don't want to receive any emails, as the instructions were, to have the participants send any homework assignments to Sacred Waters Healing Temple's email account, and they will be forwarded to me. Well, he had a problem with this, and this problem needed to be brought up. So I brought it up in an email, formal email, simply demonstrating a formal way of how we are going to handle any emails as per the request of the guests that I'm having. Okay, this is obviously an issue, and so here is how we are going to operate for the betterment of the program. Okay, and because of, I guess, whatever energies they have, whatever type of microaggressive, I don't know, canty type of energy that there was, I'm receiving an email basically saying, like, okay, since you want to have it your way, then you can manage everything. You make sure you do it this way. Like, instead of just simply operating from a professional way here in this program, this person results back to, like some street shit, some high school playground sandbox type of behavior to me. And it was bothersome even to the guests. And so of course it definitely impacted the interaction that I had with the person who I am inviting onto my platform. And it's just this, even to know that this is something that is still happening in my 30s, that women feel this weird desire or whatever to want to make someone feel self-conscious about their work, about what it is that they're saying, to try to make a person feel small or invalidating them, to question what they're like, questioning my authority, to question my operation, to question my program, to question the way that I operate. That is something that I have always seen, and um, and it just makes me think about, as a woman of color, I have not even dealt with any of this outside of my race. Like, I've not dealt with it with Latinos. Like, I don't even have personal situations with Latinos. I've only dealt with it with Black women. And people will try to make it seem like Alapia and good evening to you, family. Love you. I hope you're having a good day, good week. It's just so interesting to me to know that women still feel the need to want to operate this way, like as if it gives them some sort of internal validation, or I don't know, kink. Like, it's a pleasure for them to know that they are throwing work in this way. And it always, at this point, it's comical and it's expected. And it's also another reason why I choose to engage the way that I do moving forward, to where I'm, like, I'm not really as attached to any experiences, especially not with women, because it's one thing to be a loner, like, but it's another thing to know that like, this shit is too gigantic, too big for me to ever feel like I need to change something about myself in order to get along with this. These people, it's plenty of them, even down to the experience when I went to Nigeria. I went to Nigeria with the quote unquote guidance of someone who was supposed to be an elder, mother, priestess. And at this point, it can sound as though that I'm gossiping, but I just find that in this world where people really look up to individuals, or they're seeking for trusted, viable people to assist them in their growth, right? But they don't hear the stories and how others made people feel. So anyhow, I was my trip to Nigeria. The beginning of that trip was initiated by someone who I trusted in. And over the years, of course, I've rectified all of this type of stuff. I've come to terms with it, so I'm not pressed about any of it anymore. I'm just recognizing for what it is and simply just sharing this on this video right now. But anyhow, I know that the ending of that connection that I had with that woman was that it was in mere dominance, like someone who is trying to be domineering over me and not expecting for me to be confident, or not expecting for me to speak for myself, not expecting for me to have a backbone or something. So here it is. I'm traveling over 2,000 miles for some spiritual journey, right? And I'm trusting in this woman who is supposed to be an elder, teacher, godmother of mine. And before even heading out, there was some issues regarding finance, like money, where she had decided to consult on her own behalf with Ifa, and ask Ifa of what I should be giving her to guide me on a trip that I didn't feel like I needed to really, like, it was, for one, it was just really unexpected, because I've never ever heard of anybody going to consult without permission. Like, you don't consult about me without my consent, because how the fuck would you even know what my situation is without asking me. And so she had asked Ifa how much she should charge me for it. And at the time, even prior to agreeing to this trip, I told her that I had just lost my job with Verizon and that I am in between work. And she was like, okay, we need to see what we need to do with, we need to consult E5 about all this. And then in the reading, I'm being guided to go and do initiations. So I'm doing whatever I need to do so I can figure out, resolve things that I believe have been impacted by spirituality. And I'm believing that this is what's going to be the resolution to it. Again, this is years ago. I have already done the homework. I've already done the inner work, shadow work that is necessary for me. So I'm just speaking of a story, right? Just stories sharing. So anyway, I'm like, okay, well, if that's what time it is for me to do these things, then I'll go ahead and I'll work towards preparing for it. Now, prior to ever meeting her, I had already decided upon myself that I was going to relocate abroad. So I was thinking to myself, like, if this is a time for me to go relocate abroad, I'm gonna go ahead and make that arrangement and do it the way I know I wanted to do it. So I'm making arrangements, talking to people, and all the while I'm talking to this person, I'm also realizing how slighted, like it seemed like a lot of shade, like because I'm planning to leave and do the thing and learn and leave the US. Maybe it's a dream of hers that she's always wanted to do, but this obviously was something that was bothersome because she was all like, oh, you ain't gonna be able to do this. You can't do that. You can't do it. All of this, right? And I'm just like, well, I've been doing my research for it. I don't see why. I don't see what I need to do. Now, fast forward, we get to the part where she basically asked me for some money. And she says that this money is because she is going to be basically facilitating the trip. But I'm like, why would you need to do that for me? I have already lived abroad before. I've already had a passport. I know how to get visas. I know how to book a flight. I know how to do those things. And then I was already in contact with the individual who was going to be hosting us. So I'd already been speaking to them. And so to just come out of the woodworks and be like, oh, I consulted Ifa. Ifa said this is how much, and then this is going to happen. Okay. So why do I have to agree with this if I've already, come this far? And she's like, I'm just telling you what Ifa said. You can do it or you don't have to do. So now, and mind you, this is an old story. So at the time, I was really pressed about spirituality. I had really deep beliefs and faith about spirituality. So I had just decided that it wasn't going to be something that I was going to be able to do. Mind you, I also was helping to facilitate other people with getting their visas and their passports. But I had decided, because she had an issue with me telling her no, that I wasn't going to click up and partner as a group in the booking and timing and seats and all of this type of stuff with these individuals. Plus, I don't even know them. I didn't even know any of them. I just knew her. I would never want. First of all, in that time period, I was not local. I always lived at a distance. I'm one of the out of towners. Okay, and so I'm not even familiar with these people. I don't know them, and therefore there is no chemistry, sisterhood, no synastry, or any of that going on. I am in my own world, do my own thing. And so there wasn't going to be any of that anyways. So now fast forward, we at the date of the trip. And so me, my daughter, we make our way to the airlines, checking in. I had a friend of mine also with us waiting until our departure. Everything was cool. Everything was fine. You know, we get all the way through, all the way in there. She's avoiding of me and not, um, she's not, even acknowledging whatever. And then we're on a connecting flight, and on a connecting flight, one of the women decided that she was going to come over to speak to me and greet herself. She said that she had heard all about me. Okay, so then fast forward, we get there, and they're operating in a clique in unison, and then here I am with just my daughter, and we're having to, we're going through this process together, whatever. So I think that there were just some common gestures that was made, like, hey, how you doing, like once we arrived and got there. But once I made it all the way to Nigeria, I was there basically on my own accord, and just at the same time as the godmother that I had at the time. And because I had agreed to this, I'm gonna see it all the way through, because this is something that I believed in, right? Something I believed in. I really believed that this was something that was going to change my life, change the things that I had been going through in real life. I always say this, that I did not get into Ifa Isheshe because of trends to walk around with waist beads and put on ilekes and have a bunch of stuff on my wrist. I did not get into Ifa Isheshe because I wanted my name changed. I did not get into Ifa Isheshe because I wanted to dance around and, pimp out Orishas and make it seem like I am something that I'm not. I got into it because I genuinely had questions and was seeking real solutions to my problems. I had also explored other mediums and holistic wellness things and healing and therapeutic stuff. I had also went to school. There was things that I was doing up on my own that I really, really believed that would work, and this also was just one of those things. Okay, so it definitely wasn't for no glam show and to parlay and kick it with a bunch of females. I could give a damn, and I still don't care about none of it. Okay, so we get there. I greet the one that's hosting us. I speak to them directly about, hosting arrangements and what my plan was, as we had already discussed. But then one thing occurred. My banking at the time, Chime, did not acknowledge that I was abroad, and so it restricted me from using my account, and therefore I couldn't get extra money out. I did not know that I needed to take out cash, carrying cash with me, and overseas, and I just didn't know about that part, so I didn't do it. Instead, I said that I would wait until I got there. Living in Mexico, that is the same thing that I did when I had Chase, I had Navy Federal, same situation. I just used Navy Federal whenever I was in Mexico. If I needed to exchange currencies or something, I just used my card and went to the currency exchange and just did it that way. Well, that wasn't the same way going to Nigeria, and I didn't have a phone. My phone didn't have an AT&T. That wasn't a situation either. So all of those are the two hiccups, and those were errors upon my behalf. But even in that, after a few weeks, I was able to resolve it. However, there have been changes, and these changes occurred, for another story, for another topic. But in regards to that relationship with that with that godmother that I had. So she had um, her clique of young women, whatever, that she had tagged along with her. And these young women, not knowing who I am, decided to sit with me and ask me, about myself. And, I give them a brief here and there, this and that about myself, but nothing too deep. And as we're sharing stories, they share with me how much were, how much they were charged, how much they were charged. And these people started telling me the cost of their trip and how much they had to pay. And I was offended about the money that she asked me for. Matter of fact, I wasn't even as offended, really. I'm more so offended about consulting without my consent, consulting about my pockets without my consent. She was more so afraid because I had told her no. So when they shared with me how much it cost for them to do these things, how much she charged them, it was not it was not nearly what they were so butthurt about it. But they sat amongst each other talking about her. They sat in front of me talking about her. I am not, I'm not as messed up about it as they were. My problems are not as big as the problems that they was talking about. You feel me? So they had bigger problems going on. And so I just was like, this is crazy. But it really wasn't so much that I could say anymore because they have bigger problems with her. So then now fast forward, I guess since I am the one that's in the hot seat, since I'm being interviewed and questioned, days had gone on. It's just a few days before they leave, because again I had plans on staying long term. So just days before they leave, and the Ia asked to speak to me personally. And so when she asked to speak to me personally, this was her opportunity to pull the weak one out of, like, pick on that one, the one that she deemed as the weak one, and let me know how she feel. And she got all street like and Chicago like, and her name went from Ia to her hood name and all this other stuff, just really, really that. And ever since then, I never talked to her anymore. And so basically letting me know who she is. And I just was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're acting as if I wronged you, when in reality, you have deceived other people, and they are upset with your dealings. They are speaking about you behind your back. This is not my problem. And my problem with you is nothing compared to the things that you have going on with them. But see, it was easy to dispose or try to disparage of me and the issues that they have with me, because I operate solo. I operate individually. I have my own mindset. I don't click up with people. I don't be on some, oh, what you wearing, girl? What you wear? Oh, I'm gonna wear this. Oh, we're gonna wear the same thing. Oh, and who have you heard from? And like, I don't operate. I literally like keep my things to myself. Oh, I share with like an intimate few of people. These few people are separate. They don't know one another, and I just keep things separate like that. Is people prefer that type of relationship with me rather than a group relationship. But I always just realize how easily women try to like pick at the one, the one, and I am always one. And I've noticed this all throughout my childhood, because I don't operate in the same way. It's easy to, like, I guess, get along with people who have no sense of identity or individualism about themselves. And it's much easier for them to click up and operate in mass, right? I've always noticed, and I wrote about this on my page. the value of women who are polarized. The value of women who are polarized. The value of women who are polarized. This is women who other women feel the need to ostracize, exile, or try to um, put into the corner or against the wall, because they need to make another woman feel insecure about themselves, and they'll do it to center men. They'll do it in light of men, or they'll do it to make other women feel like, oh yeah, and she don't play, or and I don't play, that type of stuff, like to create this presence about themselves. It's very, very weird behavior and childlike. It's not even childlike, it's just, it's a sick fetish to me. And I just realized that because this experience is something that I have noticed often throughout my 25-ish years, that women really try to bully, right? And it says a lot about about women, but not enough for me to sit and dwell and sit and talk about or whatever. I'm just taking note of it, because another thing is that I don't share these stories. I just bottle it in, and because I don't share it, I feel like it gives them the advantage to think that they had one up on me, and it gives other people who deal with them the idea, the concept that, oh, you set that straight, or you made her, you showed her, she had to learn, she taught her a lesson, that type of thing. And all of it is fucking delusional. Y'all are delusional. I don't respect no females that operate like that. Anytime a woman has to make their anytime a woman goes about their whole existence trying to put another woman down or establishing dominance over another woman just to make themselves seem superior, is a weak ass bitch, weak ass hoe, matter of fact. And especially when you know for a fact that you are wrong. Especially when you're wrong and you try to make somebody else feel wrong, and then you go about your whole life never apologizing, never trying to rectify anything, just simply trying to leave the imprint that I am out of order, out of pocket, I'm wrong, I've done something wrong, or anybody like me, and then the smearing of things and trying to, just all that bullshit, just crazy, stupid shit. But I notice it, I recognize it for what it is, and I just wanted to speak on it. I just tell myself, like, I don't want to go another day in my life as an adult woman, carrying something like that, carrying any of the weight or the woes or anything that comes with being a woman in a society where other women believe that they can set the bar or set these norms, as if this is the way to be a woman, or this is true womanhood, or this is embodying womanhood. No, that is manipulative behavior. That is deficient behavior, and just because a person does not pick up quickly on social norms or social cues, or even give a fuck to acknowledge any of that does not mean that you have power over them. We are all human beings. We are all human beings, and we all have our own experiences, paths, and terms in this world. So, just because I decide that I'm going to go about things myself and not entertain or engage, not speak up about any shit, does not mean that you have got one up on me in any way. I just know that there's other things that I could put my energy and focus on. But since I'm in that chapter of Sacred Woman, Queen of Four, I just thought, you know what? Since I haven't really spoken about any of this type of stuff, I want to speak about it. I want to speak about it, and I want to release it pretty much. And so, not to really dwell or stay fixated for far too long, but yeah, those experiences that I've had with women, especially older women, has been very interesting. A lot of experiences of women feeling intimidated since I was the age of 11, feeling intimidated, 12 years old, dating someone, and here goes a woman that's 5 years my senior, watching me, following me, pulling up at my school, checking, asking people about me, coercing her own boyfriend, somebody who I actually thought that I was in a relationship with, making him do things, trying to manipulate him so that she can have access to me, to other grown women trying to live through me, trying to put their adult experiences on me, trying to tell me how to have relationships, how to date, how to court, how to be queer, what to expect from men, all of these things, down to grown men looking at me, grown men wanting to have me, grown men having their, just all of this sick ass weird energy with males and females who are older than me, who are grown, and who have no business in my face. No business in my face. Already out of pocket. Already indeficient. Already in the negative. Already insecure. But it's easier to go try to find their target on somebody who's younger, somebody who has less experience than them, somebody who's vibrant, creative, somebody who has their own mindset, own creativity towards things, somebody who has a sense of authority about themselves. Like, I know who I am. And now I understand just why men and women both are always pressed, because I'm not subscribing to their bullshit. And I can just simply exist without having to manipulate people. I can simply like or be interested in a person without feeling the need to be coerced or tricked into liking somebody. I know how to withdraw from people whenever I recognize the mental gymnastic games and psychological targets, and since I don't want to subscribe to that shit, then obviously I'm a problem and they gotta get rid of me or something, find a way. So as of this point moving forward, I'm no longer subscribing to things. I don't want to be a part of any groups. I don't want to do any of it anymore. Because I've had my experiences. I've had enough experiences, quite frankly, and I already had a sense of self before. I just let this weird ass new age world of psychoanalytic, self-help, healing stuff tint my lens on my reality, and I don't want to subscribe to that shit anymore. So that's where I am.